ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त नमन्मोहाब्धये नमः। अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये। श्लोका 7, पेज नंबर 32। न हि bhānādṛte sattvaṃ narte bhānaṃ cito'citaḥ citsambhedo'pi nādhyāsādṛte citsambhedo'pi nādhyāsādṛte tenāhamadvayaḥ। Let us reflect on yesterday's shloka once. The world of experience comes into being only when it is illumined by conscious principle. Just like in a dark room there may be several things. Usually in a dark room our toes and shin become the organ of perception. We end up hitting into something, realizing, oh, there is something here. But otherwise, when you turn the light on, that is when all that which is there becomes visibly clear, because they have now been illumined by the light. Now here in this particular logic, where are they extending it? The light which is illumining the things in the room and the light and the illumination, all of this has to be illumined by me, the conscious principle, for it to be recognized as being, as existing. अभारूपस्य विश्वस्य bhānaṃ भासन्निधेः विना न कदाचित्. Without this, at any point of time, there is no cognition of the outside field of world. There are 2-3 standpoints of confusion that can occur. First standpoint of confusion is, I may not be conscious, but others are conscious of it. I may be asleep, but the world still continues. The others are conscious of it. So in that particular statement, I have changed the very standpoint of my logic of evaluation. The point of reference is always very important in our logical analysis. Here the standpoint that is being made is with respect to me, the conscious being, aware of the field of experience. The moment you say that it is being interacted with even if I am sleeping by others, you have changed the standpoint, point of reference to something other than you, outside of you. So that there and then should give us clarity that my point of reference is being wrong. The fallacy lies in my change of point of reference. Now the second aspect comes into picture, that even with my own point of reference as the conscious awareful being, I am not taking from the standpoint of that pure conscious being. When I say pure conscious being, consciousness is always pure. It is that the impurity is in my wrong identification when I identify myself with my localized sense of being. I am only this much. My pervasiveness is only this much. Beyond this, there is no pervasiveness. Because I am identified with this. You have seen hot air balloons. Now, hot air balloons, if they have to fly, have you flown in one? So there is a basket, and in that basket, when I say basket, don't imagine that kind of a flower basket. Nothing can be accomplished with that. I am talking of a basket which is almost like 10 feet by 10 feet, with a railing or something to contain it, at least about 5 feet. Because from that height, there should not be any mishap. Otherwise, it's very, very dangerous. So that basket has a machine, and that machine blows hot air. So the balloon which is tied to the four corners of the basket, it is spread out, and this is leaned down, and while it is blowing the air, the four corners, as it is connected to the balloon, it is also connected to four very strong pegs on the earth. Because very quickly, very rapidly, the hot air fills that balloon, and as soon as the hot air fills the balloon starts rising up. As it rises up, and still the pressure is being given to keep it going, it starts raising the basket also. But now the basket is localized. Why? There are four strong ropes to strong pegs that it is tied down to. If we have to fly, if we have to glide, all the internal preparations are done. But the external preparation, what has to be done? Everything that which it is attached to has to be removed. And when that is being removed, there have to be four volunteers or workers that have to simultaneously release it. Otherwise, one side being tied, the other three opened up, and the other fellow comes rushing to remove it. It can even topple the entire basket, and we can end up becoming the basket case. So once the four tethered ropes are removed, it starts gliding up. Similarly, we are tied down to this sthula sukshma karana, body, mind and intellect. We are completely tied down to. and thereby limiting my own experience just to the field that which each one of these layers can probably make that field available. Therefore, my sense of limitation is very strong, very deep. Without breaking that, it is difficult to glide further. What it does, though I logically see there is no fallacy in what is being explained, but my experience speaks something other than it. That is the second layer of confusion. I mean, it is all so well connected, step after step. When we are given in the initial stages that the sadhana has to be done, that karma, the entire field of karma should be applied with the attitude of karma yoga. No kartrutva, no bhoktrutva. Upasana has to be strong. What does karma yoga do? It reduces the eczema called vasana. There is a continuous itch to do something. Why? The returns of the joy so that I can enjoy it, however fleeting it may be. The moment I say that statement, my mind floods with so many examples of how we do that. Let's not get distracted by all of that. We are aware of it. Karma yoga. Then upasana is equally important. There, what am I doing? I am replacing the identity of this individuality which is attached to this body, mind and intellect with the concept of that Ishta Devata. The harshness of the ego is mellowed down by that upasana. The prathamika, the main objective of the upasana is Ishtadeva Darshana. But the secondary benefit of it, which is equally important, is my attachment and tadatmyata to this body, mind and intellect becomes weakened to the most least possible available to that extent. And sometimes we neglect this step heavily. As much as Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is important, equally important is Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Upasana has to be done. In that Upasana, we say there is Japa, there is the Puja, then there is Saguna, Sakara, Dhyana. All of this come under that Upasana step. Now that kind of prepared mind when sits for Shravana, Jnana immediately reveals itself. Uttamadhikari, I have already mentioned that. For the Madhyamadhikari, there has to be a very sincere effort of manana that has to happen. So somebody again explained this beautifully. That where mana, it doesn't remain in the existing position of how it has had different kinds of convictions. That antakarana has to change the entire set of convictions because this is a different framework altogether. Now, once these frameworks are changed, when I can see that very clearly, I am not this body, mind and intellect, not just in my visualization, but in its actualization. When I function not as a body, mind and intellect any further. Whenever Hanumanji is to be introduced, or when he introduces himself, there was no more the identity of me being Hanuman, me being the son of so and so, the father and the such and such parents. None of this was the introduction. What was the introduction? Ramaduta. Completely removed that strong identification with this body, mind and intellect. Don't get confused that this will make you weak, this will make you useless, because again that is another framework, Vyavahara. In Vyavahara it was efficient Vyavahara, because all the skill sets, all the prowess that he had was used not for the glorification of this body, mind and intellect, but for the higher cause, which is Rama. Am I getting across? Because that sadhana is not yet very ripe. It is not fructified completely. Our own experience of localized existence, localized meaning identified with this. The same concept others, Mahatmas would have explained it with different words. I feel using the word localized makes it clear and easy to grasp. Once delocalized, then I see what? That aham tena sarvagaha. All of this, that which I am experiencing, is understood as what? That it is supported purely and it exists only because I, the conscious principle, is illumining it. I, the existential principle, is providing the substratum on which the entire field of experience is recognized as this ease, the easiness aspect of it. It per se does not have its own easiness. Where is it borrowing from? From me, the existence. Therefore, everything and everywhere, where does it exist? In the Atma Chaitanya. Therefore, I am all pervasive. See, each aspect of Brahman, how he is mapping it to say that this Atma Chaitanya is nothing but that Lakshana alone. When Lakshana Aikyata is established, the Vastu Aikyata, Vastu Aikyata meaning I being that Brahman is established without any confusion. That is the purpose. Did I get across clearly? Nahi bhānādṛte sattvaṃ. The next word, it kept me confused for a very long time. Narte. I was looking into all Sanskrit, trying to understand that I assumed the word wrong. I took the wrong root word. You have heard of Nartanashala? So the root word there is nrita. Nrita is to dance. It becomes nartana. Nrite. So I was searching for the sixth case in the dance. I said, why is the dance here in this shloka? It doesn't make sense. Then I realized that I was not looking at the root word properly. So I had to break it down. Narte. Then another layer of confusion is we say ritam. Ritam meaning that which is absolute reality. So I said, why is this word this? Then again I had to pour through the Sanskrit and then found that it is an indeclinable. Narte itself is a word, narte is itself a word, and it is an indeclinable. Rate means not there, without. And that is the root word for rikta. Rikta means empty, not there. In the Hindi question paper, when they say fill in the blanks, rikta sthano ko bharo, right? That rikta comes from here, rite. Ratam is a different word, rite is a different word. Rite means that which is without or empty. Nahi bhānādṛte sattvaṃ. He is using a negative presentation of the statement so that it is clear. But for us who like simplicity, it creates more confusion. But let me put it in an easier way. The entire field of experience, the world, cannot exist without bhānaṃ, without it being illumined. Na bhānādṛte sattvaṃ. Here sattvaṃ means the experience of things existing happens only if I, the conscious principle, is illumining it. That is what he said in the earlier shloka. Right? Now, he has established that shloka and the principle in that shloka and using that for another gigantic leap in logic. So therefore he is borrowing the clarity of the earlier shloka. Just like how we said in the earlier shloka that the world of experience exists only in my presence when it is illumined. Narte bhānaṃ cito'citaḥ. Narte bhānaṃ, without, rate meaning without. Without this conscious principle illumining, there is no cita-acita, sentient and insentient beings experienced by me in the world of experience. Right? citsambhedo'pi na nādhyāsādṛte. Here is where he is taking the gigantic leap. And what is he trying to prove through all of this? That Brahman is Advaita Tattva. I, the conscious principle, am that Advaita Tattva alone. How is it? How is he proving it? He says, citsambhedo'pi na nādhyāsādṛte. without the sambandha of this conscious principle, sambandha meaning the relationship, without the relationship of this conscious principle illumining it, as I cannot experience it. But then the immediate fallacy that comes into picture is that these two belong to different reference points of existence. These two aspects, the conscious and the world of experience, are two different realms. If the wife is building a pressure on the husband and the daughter saying, marriage has to be done, it has to be done quickly, we have to find a boy. After a heated discussion, the father sleeps and wakes up and he says, Ladki mil gayi. Got the girl. Where? In my swapnavastha. Very beautiful, very sushila, very nice. Can this boy be in any kind of relation to that dream world girl? Yes, because it is the dream world girl, now you can call her as the dream girl. किसी शायर की गजल. Can there be a sambandha? Can there be a relation? If there can be a sambandha, this word sambandha is a very technical word taken from Tarka Shastra. See, as I am preparing for this, I am reading through 3 different bhashyas on it. And one person takes entire 2.5 pages segment only to talk about the tarka behind this. I'll try to, put it in a concise, easy way to understand. I had to sieve through the entire logic to come to those 3. There are several kinds of sambandha. Samavaya sambandha is where, like, I am wearing this cloth until the evening. When I take shower again, then I change the cloth. It is something that has come to being, used, and then it is rejected. Samavaya sambandha. That which I can cover myself up with, I use the cloth, and that cloth, what is the sambandha? For covering up, as long as that particular purpose is served. It is something different than the body, and the relationship established to conceal it. Now the body itself has certain attributes as its sambandha. That sambandha I cannot negate, remove. Supposing they say you have to bring your body into shape. So back in Dallas, I had a very good sevak, and within 3-4 years he had put on a very strong weight. He used to do lot of weights and other things. He stopped, so everything that could swell up, swelled up in absence of that exercise. So I looked at him and I said, कुछ करते क्यों नहीं? I said, किया ना, दिख तो रहा है. Then I gave that serious look to him, and then he said, no, you just said that, I have to bring my body into shape. Who says round is not a shape? In fact, the other shape which you are intending is irregular shape. This is a regular shape. Square, triangle, circle, these are regular shapes. So he says, this is a regular shape. Now I don't have to put an effort to walk, I just roll. So this sambandha of the body with its attribute of the weight, you cannot cut it. I had to go to a party, remove the weight aside and then go. I cannot do that. Not changeable, that is not the kind of sambandha. Then there is the sambandha called tādaatmya sambandha. You identify with it, though there is no proximity, there is no possibility, there is no availability, but you identify with it and go through whatever it is going through. Many these days, the moment they have some kind of illness or sickness or feel not good, they go to the smart device and open up Google Amma Talli and type their symptoms, and it turns out, these days it is also intertwined with AI. Not just a Google search, but AI search. So if you have these kinds of symptoms and these are the kinds that are happening, then you might have high probability. So when they go to the doctor, instead of just telling the symptoms and saying what could it be, I am having this kind of a discomfort, how should I handle it? They also give the entire borrowed wisdom from that. And most of the times it so happens that which it is not. But then I have identified with what I have studied, what I have read through, and assume all those attributes as though I am going through. So as I was talking to one doctor, he says, Ajay Swamiji, this happens even while we are training those students in the medical course. Whatever we explain, as this is the disease, this is the symptom, this is what happens, 80% of the students come and say, Sir, naak kuda ade undemo. They start imagining, visualizing and imposing all of that unto themselves. Imposed identity. The earlier two identities, the earlier two sambandha is very easy to understand, very easy to change or reform. This identity which is established, this sambandha, relationship which is established, in our pure imagination, then visualization, feel the effects of it in actualization. It is pretty strong, very deep. When somebody is going through pain, some discomfort, not mine, somebody else's. I identify with it, and then my Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati is triggered. I've started living their discomfort, their pain, their process. Briefly, but at that moment, that bhava gets triggered. If we can disconnect from it consciously, we call it empathy. But even that empathy is what? Is an identification of that which I am not going through. It is borrowed, but I completely become one with it. So here he says that the association or the sambandha of the inert with consciousness is not a possibility. But if there is a seeming possibility, it can only happen in the realm of adhyasa, as a superimposition only. In the entire Mandukyopanishad, especially in the Karika by Gaudapadacharyaji, in the Alata Shanti Prakarana, this is what he is expounding upon, this adhyasa. In the Brahma Sutras also, the first 4 sutras are called adhyasa bhashya. How this adhyasa, unholy relationship, unholy because it is not a possibility that the superimposition or the superimposed can have any effect on that which it is superimposed upon. Can the screen have any kind of reminiscence of that movie which is projected onto it? Supposing it is about a historical event that has happened, there have happened lot of battles, very gory scene, and it is a devastation that has been shown, projected onto the screen. Blood and all kinds of dirt and everything there. After the movie is screened, do you have to take the screen and give it a thorough wash because it might have been tainted by that which it has projected? It has absolutely no effect on it. If this is seen and experienced, it can happen only if it is a projected reality. So what do we mean? What does the Shastra mean when it says that you have to realize? Realization is not to stop the projection, is to understand and remove the reality, sense of reality that I have given to that which is projected as real and act upon it. So many times people go to the movies well prepared. When I say well prepared, I am not talking of popcorn or samosa or they go with handkerchief, tissue box, paper, something. Why? They know. Ee cinema pindestundandi. They go there knowing very well that they are going to cry. And they have paid for it. And they said it was a quality movie. Lopalunchi kadipesedi. When people come out of the movie these days, as soon as they come out, they say, "How did you feel?" They stick a mic right into their face. How did you feel? And each person's reaction Acharya. And then that is when I realized, when somebody said, I went prepared and I took 3-4 kerchiefs. Why? I knew that this would be a very emotional movie. So I cried through the movie. It was good. Crying is good. Then we should call all of that as Vishada Yoga. Vishada can be called as good only if it is taking us to that yoga. And these people are calling it good. Must be yoga then. Otherwise, crying is not a comfortable thing. Why are they buying into it? In the back of their minds, they also know that for that 2 hours, when I am in front of that screen, I have given it a sense of validity, and I am also glad that it ends. Therefore, I go indulge in that which I can validate and come out knowing that it was only a movie. Isn't it? If it were to say that going to that movie, it will change you psychologically, that you will be crying for the rest of your life. There have been such movies, especially the horror movies. This Ganeshotsav time, people have this habit of projecting some movies. I don't know what is the sambandha of that and the Ganeshotsav, but they projected. So I was very young, right here, used to live in Gachibowli. So in that whole big ground, there is Ganeshji, and on the other side, a screen projected. And what did they choose to project? The youth had their own mischief. They had the Exorcist movie. Has anybody seen it? It is a horrifying movie. I was in 8th, 9th grade or 7th, 8th grade. Me and another friend. We thought of leaving, but we were scared to walk back. Therefore, we ended up staying there so that others who will go that direction, we can go along with them. Petrified. That for next few months, that impact was so strong that going through that ground at night was a horrifying experience. Sometimes when the trees move, big trunks, when the wind is strong, it makes a creaking sounds along with all the hustle bustle of the leaves and branches. And that creaking sound is very eerie sound. And suddenly you hear that sound, the effect of it. We know that it is a screen, on the screen it was projected, I have given validity to it, that there is no possibility of that which I have seen on the screen to come into my sense of reality. And yet I have given it so much of validity, tahadatmya, identified with it. Here also, as I explained in the earlier shloka, that Upasana is a very important step to disidentify. Why? I am replacing that sense of reality with another identity which will take me closer. That is why it is called Upasana. So this can be a sense of reality if and only if I have experienced it as or seen it as a mere projection. Understanding that it is a mere projection, when I dwell into that projection, that projection's impact will be minimal, that which you can shake off. Knowing that it is a drama, it is a play on the stage, I am playing a particular character, knowing that it is a character, my way of playing in it becomes easy, knowing that I am not the character, I am just playing the character. Sometimes the actor identifies with that role so intensely that it shakes them up from within, especially when they are playing some very intense negative role. There was a recent such episode. There was something called Batman. There are several Batmans by Christopher Nolan. There was a character of Joker. Has anybody seen that? There is a character of that Joker. That fellow lived that character so intensely that even while shooting the movie, it was difficult to handle him because he was behaving as the character. Within not even month, I think 10-15 days of that movie's release, he was feeling suffocated being that identified entity as that Joker, that he gave up his life. Not able to withstand to continue. That is the stage that we are in with regards to this projected reality. Correct. That was the intended pun. Knowing that it is a play your role, you will see unburdened experience. But we become that, identified with it, and give such sense of validity to it. Without that, as though my existence cannot continue. And then our poets have such visualization of it. Neevu leka veena palakaranannadi. Tavileni puvu viluva lenannadi. Another song. I'm just going through various, suddenly scanning through. And then we are, wow, em asadu, em padaru. What are they talking about? That my existence is invalidated because you are not there. How can that happen? Whether it is with food habits, whether it is with clothing habits, whether it is with whatever, these different habits. I cannot imagine my day to begin without a cup of coffee. Coffee padite bandi modalautundi. Once the body is fueled with coffee, now I can run. Otherwise, that I have become a slave to that which is projected, and I now assume that I cannot continue further without that. We have personalized it so much. If you see it as a projected reality, what should be the anubhava? That since all of this is in me, supported by the conscious existential principle, I am independent of it, and other than me there is no other thing supporting it. I alone am. I am that Advaita Tattva. We have seen the same kind of Advaita Tattva explained in Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha in a different way. That there is clay alone is the truth. The different shapes and names. When I say the teacup is Nama and Rupa. The substratum, the Vastu Padartha is clay. Saucer is a name and form. The Vastu Padartha is clay alone. Mrittika eva satyam. Mrittika, clay alone is the truth. That is the only cause. Other than that, there is nothing else. Before it was clay, during that cup stature, it was the clay, and after it breaks, also it still remains as clay. We have seen this kind of logic. But here, he is taking a complete different sense of leap, wherein he says, all of this is existing only because I, the existence, has validated it. And all of this exists for my experience because they are supported by me, therefore all the time and space is in me. Other than me there is nothing else, therefore I am one without a second. Brahman is Advaita Tattva, hence therefore he must have been a mathematician. Though poetically he puts, it feels like he is doing a mathematical equation. That this happens, therefore this is this, therefore the end result. The same end result is in the Brahma Tattva. Therefore this Atma Chaitanya is nothing but that Brahman alone. Hence therefore proven. Cap closed, pen dropped. It's like completely methodical equation that he is laying out. Just like when we go into trigonometry, differentials and all of those limits and differentials, it feels so unconnected, disjoint piece of logic. It feels very nut. Here also we feel that way. Why? Because identified as body, mind and intellect, we are trying to evaluate the absolute state of freedom. Being the projected reality, I am trying to understand that it is a projected reality. Distance yourself from it. Then you will see a better understanding. There are these images, right? These photos all around us. If you are too zoomed in, you will not see the complete picture. You are too zoomed out. Then also you don't care for it. At the proper distance. If you look into one particular art format called Impressionists, when you go close and observe, they look like random color patterns smeared onto the canvas. Google it after you go home. Impressionists. That's an art form. Random. You have to step away from it at a good distance. When you go to these kinds of what do you call them? Art displays? Galleries. When you go to these galleries, they place the seating for it. Not that there is a gallery for it because they call it a gallery. Gallery is to see. There is only one or two people that can sit. And from that distance, when you see it, the pattern emerges for you to have a better grasp at it. In here, what is the condition? we callously run into the world completely zoomed out. When we come into Vedanta, we come with such severity that we zoom in. No, you have to find that right stature from where you can view it. Distance it a little. Karma Yoga helps in distancing from our pressure of vasanas. Upasana helps in distancing or reducing the amount of identification with this, that which is a projected reality of body, mind and intellect. Thereby I get the opportunity to view it as a sakshi, as a witness. The pressure continuing, the identity continuing, the projected reality assumed as the very fact, as the very truth. Now trying to understand this becomes an impossibility to understand. Am I getting across? A very beautiful logic given, saying that he proves that all of this exists only because my conscious principle is illumining it. Thereby I come to the conclusion that all of this exists in me, and it exists not as a sense of solid reality but as a projected reality. Now once I understand that it is a projected reality, I don't have to worry about the projection, because internally I am very clear that it shall not have any kind of impact on me to drag me through this samsara. Wherever according to my vasana I have to still express, it is with absolute dispassionate outlook. That is a projected reality. There is nothing to be scared of. There is nothing to be limited by. There is nothing to be addicted with. Nothing can have its control over me. Why? Because I am that Advaita Tattva alone. I think I can stop here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaः, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasyat Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.